what I'm going to talk about right now is just some very practical things based on just all the things that I've already described to you tonight. So what do we know so far from what I've been telling you? So what we know that God is doing some great migrations of his children, moving us around for some reason. And what I see is there's this pattern that God is moving people out of the cities. And so I believe that what he's doing is he's moving us to places where it will be safer for whatever's going to happen, whenever it happens. Moving out of the cities, out to the countryside, the rural areas is going to be a lot safer, a lot less violent than what people who are still in big cities are going to be experiencing. And so that's something I'm seeing. And so now I don't believe that that Blue Eye, Missouri, and the Ozarks is the only place like this. I really believe that there are these portals of safety where God is moving his children all over the world, okay? Definitely all over the United States, but I'm sure all over the world. So it's just, I know about this one because this is where God has called us. So, but I know of some others, like there's one in Franklin, Tennessee, where God is congregating people. That's where I was born, by the way, which is kind of weird. And then there's one in Colorado Springs, also in Northern California. Can't remember the name of the town. Florida, Brownsville area. These are just the ones that I know of. There's also some in Texas. I'm sure there's many, many more, and they're all over the world. So God is just doing this great migration. So the important thing, wherever you are, is that you're listening to the Holy Spirit. And if God tells you to move somewhere, then go and obey and do what God is telling you to do, because he's moving us to places of safety. So, but he's not just moving us. He's also encouraging us, giving us commands to learn how to homestead, become more self-sufficient, prepare. So all of these things lead me to believe that there are going to be, during whatever these difficult times are going to look like, and however that's going to come about, that very likely a lot of the systems that most of us rely on, like electricity, running water, transportation, being able to get online, the news, things like that, our financial systems, healthcare, all of these systems may very well go down, and that we may end up having to survive through a time period, maybe a long time period, without the benefit of all of these systems that so many of us are just completely reliant on. So that's what I see, just based on what God is doing and what he is telling his children to do. All right. So anyway, I'm not telling you these things to fearmonger. I'm telling you these things not from a place of fear, but from a place of encouraging you to be wise, encouraging you to prepare. Okay, I'm far from the only person saying this. There are many, many people, not just prophetic people, not just Christian leaders, saying this kind of thing. There are lots and lots of people all over the world looking at the signs, looking at what's happening in all of the countries around the world right now, and saying the same thing. You better get ready. You better prepare, because very, very hard times are coming. I predict this, and I've had lots of prophetic words as well, and I believe this with every fiber in my body, that we need to be preparing. Okay, you're in a time right now where life still around here is still pretty normal. So you got time to start preparing. If you haven't done any preparing yet, start now. I'm going to give you a list in a minute of some things that you can do. And again, I'm not fear mongering. I do not want you. I hope nobody will go away from this video afraid. And I'm going to end it up with some scriptures and some comforting thoughts, okay, for why we should not be afraid, but we want to be wise, and we want to prepare for the things that I believe are going to start happening. And I think we're going to get a kickstart on some of the violence in 2 weeks, no matter which way it goes. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so, and just about, I know some people are watching this and like, you're crazy. So listen, just look as far as 2020, the things that happened during COVID, okay, during the virus. During that time, we didn't have toilet paper. The grocery stores, the shelves on the grocery stores were a little less full than normal. How did people act when that happened? They lost their ever-loving minds. Okay, you had people out in the parking lot duking it out over toilet paper. That's nothing. That is nothing. There are hundreds of reasons, ways that bad things could happen that could cause our systems to go down. even for short periods of time. Look at what's happening in North Carolina right now. It just took these floods, and you've got thousands of people have died. Thousands of people are displaced. You still have hundreds of people still isolated, stuck up in some of these areas on top of the mountains that have not had any kind of contact with the rest of the world because the floods washed out some of their roads. So this stuff is not crazy. This stuff is very, very possible, and I believe very likely that we're going to see a lot of this stuff happening. So, what if some enemy of our country explodes EMPs in the atmosphere above our country and it takes our whole grid down? What's going to happen then? What if we are attacked and some of our bridges get blown up? What happens then? And you saw how quickly things they escalate into problems. If you have a disruption in the gas production, or for people to be able to get gasoline for their cars, and then the trucks cannot get the products, the supplies to the grocery stores, and then you just have all these chain of command things. Remember all those shipping container boats that were stuck outside of California and on the East Coast as well, and they could not get the products where they needed to go. I mean, that stuff, it's very easy for it to happen. Not just attacks from other countries, but from natural disasters and things like that. Okay, so this is not crazy. So believe me, you would much rather do some preparation, be prepared, and have stuff that you end up not needing than be in an emergency situation and not have the things that you need. So all I'm saying, no conspiracy theories here, guys. All I'm saying is be wise and prepare.